Hi DOPs, I'm glad to welcome you on my channel, and today we will analyze one of my relatively recent works, which is an ad for a fish brand, a video with actors which we shot in a scenery of a ship. A set of a real ship cabin was built. Not even a cabin, but rather a dining room, where the ship's crew gathers and prepares together for a festive dinner. Initially, we considered recreating a real ship interior, the real existing one. We found some pictures on the internet, how the dining room looks like, but in fact what we saw was absolutely unsuitable. Well, at least I was not satisfied with it. These were some kind of non-cinematic interiors, totally boring, with some terrible painted walls. The furniture didn't fit well. Everything was quite ordinary. I wanted something more authentic, more cinematic, and I started looking for some references, watching commercials about sailors, advertising. I searched on Vimeo. As a result, I picked several options which were, in my opinion, suitable in terms of light, wall color, texture. I sent them to the director and he liked it. He sent it to the production designer, and then the production designer began to make a 3D sketch. Then he would send it to us, and we would make some corrections, and they mainly concerned the exact position of the table behind which the characters would sit, and the position of the windows as well, because initially I knew that we would be lighting the scene from the windows. I asked to arrange the actors in a way so that we could light the scene from one side of the ship only. According to the idea, and this was discussed in advance, the first frame begins with a ship sailing at sunset. From the very beginning, we understood that we had a sunset, and I asked the director, is it a sunset when the sun has already set beyond the horizon, or is it a sunset when the sun is still hanging above the horizon and there is a bright sunlight coming from it? After all, we decided that the sun still hangs above the horizon, and we proceeded in terms of putting the light in the scene itself. We had portholes and we lighted the scene through them, imitating the sunlight. The director, knowing my preferences in putting the light in the direction of the shooting, which is against the windows or along them on the side, he had already started to make the setup. Who comes out of where, who goes where. This scheme, which is already much more accurate, has been used for finalizing the sketch of our scenery. I came to the shooting when the scenery was ready and no corrections had to be made because everything was perfect. Can we cover it by the zones? For example, now if we shoot through the window, I will only see the two distant ones. Two far rows. And this one may be needed for the light, this part. Yeah, so these two, right? Yes, this one and this one. Now it is possible to make it for sure. We will just have a gray wall here. Here, yes, at the moment. But we will darken it somehow by hanging something. In terms of light, the main idea in this video was to simulate a swaying motion of a ship, as if it was swinging on the waves and the light sways up and down. I suggested the gaffer to think about the way he would be more comfortable with this task. Initially, I suggested an option to hang two lamps on a beam and somehow to lift them up and down with the ropes. The guys tried it and realized that this is extra weight and it will be hard to lift the beam. So they decided to lift each lamp manually, just synchronizing their movements. I left this at their discretion, absolutely. I asked them to show how it looks like, everything was okay. I liked it and we worked according to that scheme. I asked to place portholes so that when the person is sitting, the bottom of the porthole is at the level of his head, so that the light from the porthole also reaches the face. If it was a little higher, then it would simply shine past the character. This was the first project where I used my personal Astaris. Yes, I bought myself a set of Astar fixtures because I use them almost every time I shoot. These are my favorites. They're very convenient in the sense that they don't need to be connected to the electricity, they work from the battery up to 10 hours if they're not in their brightest modes. The first frame, we're flying through the porthole. It is necessary to clarify that in the first frame with CG, where the ship is floating on the sea, the light was adjusted to our story. We knew that this shot with the ship and the sun will be in the counter light. Accordingly, the ship must sail to the left side of the sun. Because we lighten the left side of the ship on the set, the light goes right into the porthole, located on the left side. That's why the ship was also drawn in the same position, so that everything would align. Also, on the color correction, the shadow part of the ship, which we see in the second frame, when we fly through the porthole on the shadow side of the ship, it was also adjusted with CG to the right color and light. Accordingly, we made such a cold, dark light from a cloudy sky. Alright, now everything is clear with the windows. Well, now we'll have a wide shot. Probably we will make some kind of counterlight, backlight there now, if it's not in the frame. If it's suddenly in the frame, we will move it somewhere. We also have a light mat, right? Light mat and sky panel, I think, right? We have a sky panel, yes. What we're going to do now is we're going to put a sky panel here and we're going to put an 8 feet diffusion frame in the whole pass on a T-bone. Here's the T-bone, yes. And for now, we're going to light up there. And we'll deal with the Astera a little later. Now I'll see the whole scene and we'll put it somewhere. And we should put them a little on the side, not in front of the windows, as if they were shining at an angle. Oh, there. Well, yes, in that direction. We have the beam height somewhere from the top point to the window. In other words, we do not go below the window. Got it. Can we close the door, the green one? Can we get a little bit closer? Yeah, right now. Here, look. The window should already be there. This is when we no longer see the border, when we shifted the camera closer. And when I shift back, but we shift forward. Well, I mean, when I shift back, the window will close the hole there. It will close all the unnecessary stuff. You see, I just cannot shoot there, but I can do it like this. At first, we found a position for the cameras for our lens that we used. I think it was 35 or a 32mm lens. The distance we were shooting at allowed us to avoid seeing any unnecessary parts of the scene. And having moved to the right distance, we have adjusted the porthole accordingly. Reduce the sky panel, please. Yes, and take a look at the wall. The edge is flaring. We need to fix this. We need some kind of flag or floppy cutter. I can still see it a little bit. I think it's the third row, here on the ceiling. We shot the video with Arri, Alexey mini camera and Cooke Anamorphic lenses. Many people often ask me why I choose these or other lenses. To explain my choice. Honestly, this time there was no preference for lenses. There were no frame format requirements from the client, so we decided to shoot in anamorphic. It always adds some kind of cinematic look in my opinion. Wide frame. Apart from that, Cooke Anamorphic are one of my favorite lenses, and since there was freedom of choice, I decided to shoot with these lenses. Just because I wanted to. Please ensure that one lamp shines only in one window, not going through both. Otherwise, I will have two rays crosswise there. Or you can put a floppy cutter right here, in the middle. Yes. We had a quite small set of lights. A warm 5 kilowatt lamp, a warm 2 kilowatt lamp, or even a couple of 2 kilowatt and few smaller lamps, like 650 kilowatts, I think. Eventually, we were lighting through the windows with 2 kilowatt lamps, so that there was a powerful bright light as if it was from the sun. We also had light mat of several sizes, a 2L and a 4. In addition, we had a sky panel, an 8 feet frame, as well as a kit of Astera lamps. Yes, I have 2 beams now from each window. We have to cover them with a cutter. Another Astera, please. You have to throw it on the ceiling right here. Here in the bosun, on a backlight. Right there, maybe from the top. It should not shine into the depths of the room, only towards the camera. That's it, we'll add some smoke and then we're ready. The smoke was an essential element in this shooting. We used a hazer, which worked continuously and added the smoke a little bit all the time. As a result, after 10-15 minutes, the whole set was evenly filled with the smoke, and it gave us the opportunity to see the light beams in the frame. In this shot, the actor stands near the TV and corrects the antenna. And in order to add light from the TV on his face, I put another Astera above him in a ceiling. And also added a cold counterlight to our character. Astera, yes, we'll put it right there. Further, a little bit more. What's the temperature? Cold, the color of the TV, the same. Well, it must be 5600K. We should move it a little. I can fix it. It will not spin. How's it now, okay? Can it go a little deeper? Yes, sort of. Since our window was very large right in the frame next to us, and we had no idea how to depict the night outside the window, we had a chroma key, which we planned to repaint to the color of the sky or draw some clouds there. Well, in the end, it was just painted yellow on color correction. Let's lower the chroma key. Does not fit there. Well, not yet. There is still some place. Take a look at the bosun, please. Let's bring the diffusion frame inside the scene and move it into the kitchen a little bit. Yeah, and take a look at the bosun. And the sky panel should probably be brought inside. Well, this wall will have to be separated from the frame now. The director asked the actor to turn around and play the reaction to the bosun, who was standing behind him. That was something I was not prepared for, so I had to move our diffusion frame with the sky panel, which was glowing on the right. But eventually, his turning around was not included in the final cut. In this frame, we have two 2 kilowatt lamps serving as a backlight in the portholes. One warm Astera hanging from the ceiling, which illuminated the bosun with a cat in his hands, as well as another Astera hanging inside and giving a side counter on the character, who was fixing a string of lights. A sky panel 60 also set next to a large 8-feet frame from the right side, deep inside the scenery, lightened the center of the room and our main character. And a cold light mat hung above the camera which illuminated the front wall of the set. In this shot, a 2-kilowatt lamp also shines through the porthole. We also had a light source inside the frame which we lowered to the minimum. We had also a sky panel in the 8-feet frame on our right, which gave us a full room fill and also shone on our hero from the right. In order to prevent extra light from hitting the wall of our set, we covered this sky panel with a big black flag. Above the TV we had an Astera hanging, which gave a backlight to our character. It also illuminated somehow the wall around the TV. I would like to take a look at a couple of more shots, so that we analyze the light schemes. Here, the 2-kilowatt lamp continued to shine through the porthole. At the same time, I arranged it in a way that it would reach the heads of our characters, and a little bit of clothes and the table. Inside our scenery, on our character's right, there was a warm Astera above the table, which gave a small key light from the right. In the second porthole, which was outside the camera's views, we put another 2-kilowatt lamp and gave a ray of light in the foreground, on the shoulders of our heroes who sat in the foreground. And we also imitated a movement of light to add some dynamics to the frame. Behind our heroes, we changed the position of the cold Astera, which continued to imitate the light from the TV. It also gave a backlight to our actors. In this shot, we turned backwards to shoot our captain. Since the light was supposed to be facing the camera directly, I tweaked it a little bit. I turned off the lamp completely in the window, which was closer to the camera, and closed it. And I left only the far right porthole to create a sidelight look. Also, the 2-kilowatt lamp continued to shine through the porthole and we set it to lighten our hero's clothes. It swayed up and down the clothes, but did not touch the face absolutely. On the right side of the actor we put a warm light mat in a 4-feet frame which gave a side key light. Behind us on the wall there were old Soviet strings of light, which lightened the ceiling and also illuminated the whole wall. Behind our character we had a porthole. We used it to give a cold backlight. We also had a passageway with curtains, and there was also a cold Astera hanging at the back, which gave a cold light to this corridor. Well, that was all for today. I hope you liked it. Be sure to like the video, write comments, and if you have any questions, please write. I will try to answer them all. Subscribe to my Instagram and see you in the next video. Till next time, bye.